I'm so excited to be starting this Google Form data collection series. This is part 1 of the series. And so I'll be kind of uploading part 2 and part 3 over the next week, I would imagine. This is something that I'm really excited about because honestly, Google Forms has completely transformed the way that we take data in our classroom. It makes data collection easier, more efficient, it's easily accessible, and it doesn't take as much time as the data that you're probably already tracking with pencil and paper or however else you are taking it. And so this is something that's quick and easy to use. If you're like most schools, you probably already have a Google account. Right now, I'm just going to kind of show you what these forms look like, how do you access them, what the forms look like that we've been using in our classroom. I will be willing to share those with you too if that's something you're going to be interested in, as well as how to kind of get started. How do you get jump started? So we're going to start from this main Google page. You'll see down here, these are my favorite apps, the ones I go to the most, and Google Forms is right down there. But if you're not like me and don't have it up there, you can jump up at the top and just go to google.com/forms, and that'll take you right to the main page. You might have to sign in. I'm already signed in, but if that's something you need to do, just go ahead and do that. You'll notice that all of these ones right down here are forms I've already created, but if you're starting from scratch, all you need to do is press the blank one, and it'll take you to something that looks like this, untitled form. This is a Google document pretty much, so it's quick and easy to use. You can click any of the things. It's very self-explanatory, and it's something that you really learn with as you go. And so it's very easy to kind of play around with and gain, what you should be doing with it. So now the fun part, we're going to start talking about, how can you use this in general ed setting and how can you use it in a special ed setting. And so both the forms I'm going to show you today, I use in the special ed setting. There's one that I think would specifically work best for the general ed setting just because it really helps kind of pinpoint what behaviors you're seeing, what time of day you're seeing them, and it's quick and easy to fill out. And so the first one that we're looking at is just called Behavior Tracking Incident Report for JJ. I just made up an acronym. We'll say it's Jacob Johnson. And so JJ is going to be that student. You'll see that says this, use this form to report any incidences involving JJ who has eloped, demonstrated work refusal for 10 minutes or longer, has extreme emotions, making unsafe decisions, using rude or inappropriate comments, etc. And so this is just a quick and easy form. I'll show you. It records the date of the incident, the time it began and ended, where this location took place. And so if this is something that took place in multiple areas, you'd be able to check more than one area. The staff that are involved, I didn't put any names on here. In a normal setting, I do put names just because it's easier to fill out and all of your employees are going to know who each person is. You'll notice here I just said your name, para 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, once again, I have all of those filled out with names, but I just made this form, so it would be something that would be easier for you to transfer over if you so please. Incident type. Now, these are behavioral incident types, so like rude, inappropriate comments, yelling, screaming. Obviously, these are checkboxes, so you could mark more than one. Antecedent, that's something that's important. That's going to help you identify triggers. What happened that made the incident occur. A brief description of the actual event, and then what kind of debriefing that took place. Lots of different options here. It's important to know if student was injured, so we have that included down at the bottom as well as if the parents were contacted about the incident or not. This will all be saved in a response up here, and it'll actually create charts for you to look at when you're kind of looking at everything as a whole. So I'm going to show you what this looks like for people that are filling it out. And so you'll see it's quick and easy to fill out. You just go through, enter all of these. Let's say it was multiple locations, maybe multiple staff. Maybe it was the music teacher and then the social worker saw the student in the hallway, and then maybe you got involved at the end, and then maybe a para got pushed as well. Whoever is going to be recording it or reporting it, sometimes it's going to be yourself, sometimes it's going to be a para. I don't know if there's other employees that will potentially be filling this out, but go ahead and add them in there too. It makes it much quicker than actually having them type out their name. Once again, incident type, multiple ways you can fill it out. These are short answers, so the person would actually have to type out the answer, but that's the only way to actually get the event that had happened or the antecedent. Once again, just scrolling down, these are all things that can be selected multiple times. And so the cool part is, I'll go back here quick, and if you look at responses, I filled out just a couple random ones. It puts them all together into these sort of charts. And granted, this is only 2 examples, but when you have multiple examples throughout the day over a long period of time, you can start to see patterns with this. So as I said before, this is just a behavior tracking incident report that can be used in the general education setting. So if you have 6 kids that you are trying to keep data on, you would have 6 separate forms. That sounds like a lot, but when we go through in the next couple series or the next couple episodes, I will be talking a lot about how do you keep those organized and how are you able to access them really quickly, where this becomes a more effective way to track data. And so in my room, I actually have these reports for every single individual student. So if I'm working with 16 kids next year, I'll have 16 different forms. If I'm working with 14, I'll have 14 different forms. And I know that sounds like a lot, but when we organize them the way that we do, it's easy to access. Each student has their own almost portfolio with their own charts and their own record of everything that has occurred, and it just keeps things much more organized. And now we'll jump into the one that I use specifically just in my special education classroom. This is an incident reporting form. This is generally for more of a crisis situation, more serious incidents. They usually involve the safety room, a staff escort, maybe a staff restraint. This is always the absolute last resort. And so I'm not saying that this is something we fill out daily or even weekly. It is a very detailed form and it does require some time to fill it out, but it's absolutely essential to get all of these details because this is something that we share with parents and guardians. This is something that does go home. And so this does have student's name, date, time. It looks very similar to the other chart, but the part where it gets a little bit different is when we start talking about was physical restraint used, was escort used, was the safety room used. We go into detail about what the length of time was, what the antecedent was, and we try to describe the event in as much detail as possible. It's always important to note if the student has injuries, if the staff has any injuries. And then the last and one of the most important pieces of any sort of incident that occurs is making sure that the debriefing and planning that takes place not only takes place with the student, but is also something that takes place with staff members. Staff members have to know what they need to do, what they might do differently in the future, and how we can try to prevent certain situations that take place. And so while this takes a long time to fill out, it's absolutely necessary. And when you get the responses, it's something that's quick and easy to print out and send home with parents after you talk to them about everything that had happened. That way you have a formal document for them as well that they can keep record of if they so please. So last but not least, after kind of looking through all of this, I want you to maybe test this out. See, how is Google Forms working for you? Is this something that you want to receive? The type of forms that we use in our room, because that's something that I'm willing to share with you. I do have this uploaded into my link tree, so if you go to the link in my bio, you can just click in there, click the very top form or the top link. All I'm asking is that you go ahead and share any post from my Instagram. So if you want to share a quote, if you want to share this on your Instagram story or Instagram feed, if you share one of those, make sure you tag me in it. Go ahead and fill out this form and say, if you have any questions regarding this Google Forms and how to use it, please let me know because I'll address those in the upcoming videos. What do you want to see on part 2 and 3 of Google Form series? I already have an outline that I've planned, but I want to be able to answer questions and anything else that you might be wondering. If you would like to receive forms, please let me know which one or if you'd like both. I will be willing to share those if you are willing to share one of my posts or anything from my Instagram account and just tag me in it. Make sure when you're filling out this form you include your Instagram handle as well as your Gmail, because the Gmail is going to be the account that I use to send these forms to you so you can use them in the future. If you want to try and create your own and you have questions about it, do not hesitate to message me because I want to help you in any way that I can. So thanks for listening. Let me know what questions you have. Go ahead and comment here or fill them out in my Google Forms questionnaire.